Hello, everyone, and welcome to this series of my weekly Tech Talks. This one's a bit different today because we're not going to talk about manufacture per se, or because I'm here with my friend and colleague Glen Benjamin, and I've known Glen for a long time. What is that sense of how many years we know each other? It's been a long time we've known each other, and we work together. We work, different companies and so forth, but among all things, we respect each other. We work well together, and we're thinking the other day about doing something where we just talk about technology and whether it's something current or something in the past or something that in telecom that goes into Glen's background and history, and mine into programming and management and that kind of stuff. So, just wanted to just talk with the audience, my viewers, and just say, hey, we're just, we're real people and we have our, our little favorite pet peeves for technology. So
yeah, let's be truthful. It's two old guys talking about old and new technology.
There you go.
I think that's how we just got to name this thing.
Right. So great. I guess so they'll get it. So so Glenn and I were just chatting right before pressing the record button. And I know you're kind of mentioning, you're like where you started was in telecom. So give me a little bit of a background in your telecom vaults.
Sure. And just to set it up front, Henry, you're with IT Savvy. I'm with Lion Infotech. Yeah. We do similar things, but we do it differently. And again, at this point, we're really trying to help the community, educate the community. We've got, so many issues with the COVID-19 going on. We're all sequestered in the home. I, of course, am in the, what am I? I'm in the what do you call it? The Falcon? What is this? The
Millennium Falcon.
Millennium Falcon, right?
That's right. So I'm going to bail you out because I'm a Star Wars fan too.
Yeah, I'm in a galaxy far, far away, so I don't have to deal with all this. But we're all dealing with it, and we get lots of inquiries and calls, and like, how do we do this? What's going on? How do we use Zoom? And that's a whole other conversation. But where Henry and I met, and I'm not going to say how many years ago, I was more on the telecom side. And, telecom started off, and I was doing about 30 plus years ago. I was dealing with stuff like X25, which had a screaming baud rate of like 1,200.
Wow.
I mean, we all laugh, at what's going on. Oh, I only have a gig connection. I was trying to sell stuff at 1,200 baud.
Over a phone line, right?
It was you might as well have done Morse code and did it, but because it took forever to transmit anything, and it evolved to screaming 28.8, 56K. I mean, those took a few years before it evolved. Now, of course, it's lightning speed, but the applications just were practically useless until we could get to the higher levels, and like we have now, we could do anything anywhere. So I mean, that was really my background, and I met you were doing integration work with a mutual customer.
I've been doing a lot. I started off as a programmer, RPG2 on the System 36, and was an IT director back in the day, and then I spread my wings over into the consulting world. And when we met, I was working for a consulting company in Miami, and I was working with actually a mutual customer. I didn't know that you were the account manager on the telecom
network side. Yeah,
right, AT&T. I think it was AT&T you're with.
It was AT&T back then.
Yeah, and then I was talking with the client. We'll leave the name out because they were a big company, and we were trying to help them with some projects, and somehow someone in the company approached, hey, we're trying to reduce our telecom bill. Can you take a look at it? So I took a look at it and I said, wow, this is a lot of money you guys are spending on long distance and whatever. Who's your account manager that you're working with at AT&T? And then they gave me your number and name. You had Glen Benjamin, the number. So I called you, and I believe you came to my office in Miami with what seemed like 2 boxes of proposals and papers and things. And I'm like, oh, Glen, nice to meet you. I'm Henry, so-and-so. And I go, what do you have here? And you have these 2 piles of files, and So you took me back the whole history of what you had proposed to this customer. So after reviewing it with you, I'm saying, wait a minute. So again, I know some of you guys are going to go, wow, this technology. So back then, Glenn was proposing to this customer voice over frame relay. Okay. And we
Mhm.
were, and the hope was to help them save money on their voice communications between different parts of the world. They had offices in South America, Mexico, etc. And I think the proposal was saving them like 80, 85,000 a month,
Some
something
ridiculous number like
ridiculous
that.
like that.
Yeah.
So imagine we put it together. So now I go back to the customer. I go with Glenn. I say, okay, so here's, I'm their trusted advisor. I'm saying, we're saving you almost $1 million a year in telecom just by switching to this technology. So they chewed on this for like a month or two, and it went nowhere. And I came back to him, obviously, I said, man, these guys are going to sign because, they're going to save themselves $1 million. And then with that $80,000 a month savings, it can help actually fund a lot of the IT projects that I was working on at the time, right? Updating their whole server infrastructure, their email, etc. And man, they just didn't do anything. So I went to the manager. I go, how can you guys operate knowing that you're paying $1 million more than you have to a year? And they just shrugged it off. So I just scratched my head, went back to my office, and went, okay, next.
Yeah.
It was
I
weird.
think it never went anywhere as far as I remember.
It didn't go anywhere. I mean, I was in that account even after that meeting. I did business with them for years,
Hmm.
and they never did anything. Now later on, they deployed a Cisco system, and then they use with the call manager, they configured everything. They got the circuits, and I think down the road they were able to do something with VoIP and telephony to save those costs and just dial an extension in South America and speak, or use the least cost routing feature in the call manager, and dial from South America to local using the local number. So they figured it out later, but at that time, gosh,
Yeah.
they had nothing.
And if we had done that solution now, you just need internet.
Right.
That's all it is, right?
Of
Back
course. Right.
then.
So now fast forward
Yeah.
a long time,
Yeah.
20
Well, think
years.
about it. The
Yeah.
internet was still 10 years away from that point. So it was frame or ATM, and you had to build the CIR in between to get the
Oh my
right kind of
God,
bandwidth. It was
CIR.
pretty damn complex. And we didn't make it easy for customers.
Right.
Now it's almost plug and play if you do it right. Certainly has
Exactly.
changed. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Even
you could,
the
and SD-WAN, all of that, you could put any kind of transport on there and make it work quite nice. Pretty simple.
And think about the technology back then we're talking about just 20 years, and how we are today, and how we're able to do what we're doing now. I mean,
Mhm.
I could never have fathomed back in even the year 2000 that we could do this type of communication. We can be, communicating with people across. Actually, I had a webinar very similar to this, a conversation with a colleague of mine over in the UK, and it came across just as clearly as we're talking. And I was like,
Yep.
wow, that's just amazing. So I'm excited that technology has evolved where we can do these kind of things.
Sure.
The only thing that I have in my X factor is always security, and like you mentioned, Zoom, and I know we're having this conversation here over Zoom, but they've upped their game a little bit. They had a little hiccup there at the beginning. People
Well,
jumping in and
they grew
introducing
by
themselves.
5,000% in 3 months, and
Yep.
they had no plan. They had to do about 2 years of development in 30 days to catch up. And there's
Right.
still a few moving parts to it, but for the most part,
Yep.
they got the encryption just about done. Supposedly by the end of May, I think they're supposedly going to have all that
What's that?
fixed.
What's
They
that
had to
company?
buy an encryption company to make it work.
Right. Exactly. That company that they purchased recently to make
Yeah.
it happen.
Yep.
So, well, but, they're on the right track. I mean, I saw a statistic where it showed they had in December 2019 they had like 10 million people using Zoom, and by April they were up to 300 million. You think
And
about,
I'm sure, and
you know,
they're past it here in May. We know
oh
that.
my gosh,
Yeah.
and then they're talking about their valuation was like a 48 billion and change.
Yep.
And then they showed a graphic where they were adding up like the top 6 or 7 car companies, and they were evaluated higher than all those guys combined. Of course, they've taken a hit, as we know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh,
Everything
you
has.
know,
Sure. So, yeah. How can we help them with technology right now?
right.
The work from
So,
home. We're all going to be stuck here a while.
right.
How do you
So,
collaborate securely? And that's also the big issue too.
right. And that's the thing I was, just concerned about is, we're doing these things. Can we do them securely? And I know that, you there with Land Infotech. Say hi to Mike Goldstein. Mike, I hope you watch this video.
Yep.
Say hi to you, old friend of mine.
I'll
We
make
still
sure.
we still keep in touch.
Hmm.
And then, I know that your company and our company, we provide, solutions to clients of all different shapes and sizes for, working from home or corporate security, et cetera. So, it's good to know we have a couple of companies and a couple of old timers that people
Hmm.
can reach out to that have
Yeah.
some history of how all this kind of was back then and how it is today, and
Yeah.
can lend some insight.
Yeah, we know the war stories. We know where a lot of the bones are buried. We can go figure some of that out. Today, what you and I tell our customers is don't worry about the technology. Let us help you manage it.
Right.
We'll get you through it. You go right now at this point, run your business, which is difficult enough with what's going on. So go do that.
Yep.
We'll take care of
Right.
the tech and the
Yep.
day to day and break fix, what have you. Let us do that. You just take care of what's important right now.
And you know what? Even a few short months, that sounded like such a cliche. Well, you run your business and we'll take care of the rest. Now you fast forward 3 months or so, and it's no longer a cliche. Really, these people, to get their businesses back to where they were and everything, they really have to focus on their business and just say, you know what, I can't worry about all this IT stuff in my company. I need to outsource some or all of this to some reliable companies to manage it, because I got to focus on growing my company, regrowing my company, or restarting my company. Some of these companies have been stalled for a month or two. Hopefully, they're still able to pick the pieces up and get back to business. And maybe some of those loans that were available, help them out a little bit. But it's no longer a cliche to say, you worry about your business and we take care of the rest. Now it's actually no longer clear. It's actually true, and that a lot of these, especially the smaller companies,
Sure.
really need some help to, keep their technology in order.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them having trouble just making sure they make payroll, the PPP loans, the EIDLs, all the different
Yeah,
things. And again, that's a whole bunch of acronyms I don't totally understand, but go focus on making sure you're taking care of your customers, your employees. Let us do the back end. That's what we're really good at.
yeah,
We don't want to get in the middle of all the other things you got to deal with. We all have our own problems at this point, but
that's
just
right.
keeping the community whole. We don't want to see, customers get shut down, lose their business. We don't
Yeah,
want that. So
no,
let
that's
us
terrible.
help in any way
Yeah,
we can.
Glenn
Yeah.
hit it right there. Let us help, and turn to Glenn, turn to myself. We'll team up, whatever it is.
Hmm.
We're just here to make sure that the community at whole is good, and I think now we're starting to get back into phase one of reopening down here in South Florida. So hopefully that starts the path again to back to business. I don't know what that new normal is looking like, but in talking with people in the industry like I do, I talk to companies every week. I do these videos every week, and the consensus seems like there'll be a lot less in-person type of visiting and more of this type of video type of meeting. So I don't know if that's the new normal. We'll see how we come out of this, but that's what I'm hearing so far.
I mean, I can't anticipate for the rest of the year we have a big group setting. It just doesn't seem plausible.
Right.
Nor is a customer going to let us walk into their office unless you fully test us, whether it's temperature and whatever biometric gauges you want to put in there. I don't anticipate going out. I'm perfectly comfortable doing this. We've done this for most of our lives, so it's not that big a change. However,
Right.
we never did video really. It was always an audio conference call, pick up the phone. So now
Hmm.
we've got the in-person feel to this, but we're
Right.
doing it remotely through the internet, hopefully securely. And everyone I've spoken to said, this is fine, this is great. And, if I'm forced to put people in the office, we're going to take all the precautions. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work anyway we do it. All we ask is, come to us, make sure what you're doing from a technology perspective is safe and secure.
Yep. We can,
Because, yeah.
even if it's LAN or IT savvy or whoever your partner is,
Yeah.
make sure that they truly assess, your environment. You let them come in and let them assess everything. Let them do a discovery, document it, hand you a report, and say, hey, here's where you stand today, and kind of measure that. We'll gauge that, see what level of risk is okay for your business, and
Hmm.
then start deploying some solutions around that. And like Glenn was saying, you focus on your business, and we'll take care of the rest. You let the IT side, somebody take care of it, report to you, let you know when there's any issues, correct them, and it just again let you guys focus on getting your businesses back on the back on their feet, and prospering like you probably all were right before this pandemic hit.
Hmm.
And
Well, and the final word to this whole thing, and it's real important. Again, we keep saying security. The bad guys don't take days off. So
never.
as we're all kind of scrambling and trying to make all this work, they're getting into your systems. And by the way, don't believe you've never been hacked. There's a great chance you've been hacked, and they're just sitting there waiting for the right piece of data or information to come across. You got your PPP loan, you got a grant, you got whatever, bam. From that point on, they're going to grab your bank account. They're going to do a bunch of really nasty things. This is not fear of God. This is reality. It's up something like 500% since the virus crisis started. And
Hmm.
also, you got to warn your employees. This is the worst part. Don't open everything you get. Don't just click on links, because by the time you figure it out, that hacker now has grabbed something in a server or grabbed the PC, and they're going to start putting out all kinds of ransomware. So all we're asking is take the proper precautions, get to a professional in this IT space, whether it's us two or anybody you trust. I don't want to see companies fail because they didn't follow proper protocol, best practices. And once you get that big ransomware notice, you're shut down and you're out of business. Don't want to see that right now.
And you hit a point just now about employees. So I think part of this process, people need to help educate the employees and give them some employee training on the what to do's and the what not to do's. Because you mentioned, don't open this email, don't open that. I think it's at a critical time, and like you said, it's up 500%. And the hackers, they don't rest. Actually, they see more opportunity now
Uh-huh.
than they ever did, because we're working from home, so most people don't have VPNs. So
Mhm.
they're salivating at this type of thing. So like I said, let us, Henry, Glenn, and other companies that whoever you guys trust, get in there, analyze what you've got going on, and if you have been hacked and are hacked, we have tools to detect that and isolate it, mitigate it, and then get you back to a point where you're safe, and put together, like Glenn said, those measures around it to protect your environment.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are we all doing?
Yeah. By the way, I have to cut you off. One of the biggest scams we're seeing is the fake emails that have PPP, making it look like it's legit.
Right.
Oh, we're going to help you with your PPP loan. We saw you got rejected. You click it, bam, you're done. That's it.
That's it.
And there's education we can all help you with. We'll
Yep.
all help. And generally, we're not even going to charge for most of this. So
Right.
again, we want to help. And that's what we're
Well,
here
yeah,
for.
and there's companies out there. One that comes to mind, I'm sure everybody's heard it, Know Before, and I'm sure others out
Hmm.
there as well.
Yep.
Mimecast has one, but the important thing is to buy into the program, and get your employees trained. It'll really enhance your company security. I know they, a lot of people talk about, yeah, you're being hacked. A lot of the what's the word? A lot of the breaks in your security, a lot of it comes from the inside, from your
Hmm.
employees. Yes, the outside, of course, The hackers are out there hammering away, but they try to figure out how to get to the inside. And your weakest link many times are your employees. So always think about that when you're, like you said, when you mentioned about security and stuff. Got to keep those guys armed as well. We got to work together.
Yeah, human error is the number one cause of cyber threats.
For sure.
That's how it goes. So all we ask is give us a shot, give us an opportunity to earn some business for you, and let us manage it so you don't have to deal with it day to day.
That's the deal.
Yep.
So I know I got we all have a long history background. I got a 30 years plus. That I always advise my clients, and I can take them back and give them some success stories of companies that did things really good and worked out, and other stories where I feel like sometimes wearing my "I told you" T-shirt. I said, "God, Mr. Klein, I told you though," and
yeah,
because from the inside, I think both of us come at it from the perspective of we really want to help,
yeah,
and I know
truly.
that, and I know that sometimes budgets get in the way and the monies and stuff like that, but I think we're built the same way in that we truly from our hearts want to help. So when we know what to do, and we put the proposal together, and they go, "Oh, it's too expensive," and then something happens, you're like, "Oh man, I told you so," but what can you do? I mean, it's kind of like, and then I look at it sometimes. My girlfriend mentioned about you think of yourself like a doctor. If a doctor recommended that you had to remove this or do this or do that or have that surgery, do you question your doc? No, I got to do it. Yeah, no, I have to schedule time because that's the doctor. He or she is telling you this is what you got to do. But it seems like in IT professionals, obviously we're not as highly regarded as doctors, obviously, but something I feel like if they would at least give us a little bit of credit, we could really do a lot more help
Or
out there.
my comeback to you, Henry, is: do you always choose the lowest cost brain surgeon? Think about that
Right.
one for a minute. It's about risk mitigation. What can you
Well,
tolerate? If you can
yeah,
tolerate being down a day or two because you had an issue, okay, fine. But if you tell me I can't tolerate more than an hour, then we have a conversation that's much more detailed.
yeah,
And that's where it starts: is what do you need? How long can you seriously tolerate being down, and how long can you wait for us to restore everything? If you tell me it's a week, okay, I understand. But most companies in today's world, it's all operating at light speed. So an hour or two or a day, I can't deal with it. Then we build it accordingly. But we've got to start
exactly.
with a simple assessment. What do you need?
That's step one.
Right. And
Assess
then
it, document it, and bring it
mhm,
back to them. Say,
mhm,
here's where you are. And sometimes they aren't in that bad a shape. Maybe a
yeah,
little tweak here or there, and then what? Let us manage it.
yeah.
And
And
and you
manage the backups. So, if the bad guys do get in, no problem. I got a backup here. It'll take me a few minutes. Okay, it's all back. We can do that. But
exactly.
got to have the conversation to get started. And the bad guys are out there, and all the reports from everything we read, it's like I said, 400 or 500% higher than it was back in February. If
Of
that
course,
doesn't put a chill down your spine, I don't know what I can do to help you.
that's because almost all of America went to work from home,
Yeah. And
and
they think
not
they're
only
good.
America, most
Yeah.
of the world, right?
The world, yeah. In fact, we were kind of slow with some of this, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. I think I saw this morning we're down in South America, and I'm trying to remember what country that said, "Nah, you guys can mingle. Go ahead, no mask. Go ahead and try it." Who knows what's going to happen? But
I
you
don't
got to
know.
take proper precautions. And
Yeah.
I don't know where I was watching this morning, and of course they got outbreaks, and they're just going to take their chances. You
Well,
know.
it's either that. I mean, the other thing I heard on the news the other day was is actually a lady who spoke to in the White House, but to the press, and she's a psychologist and was speaking about the mental health portion
Mm,
of this and saying, well, yes, obviously, there's a risk with the coronavirus and everything until we get our vaccines and everything in order. But she goes, the other risk is, and equally as bad, is the mental health. And some people can't handle being, contained in their homes, and some have homes where they probably don't want to be in that home, and now they're stuck. So she was
Yeah,
mentioning,
well,
kind of letting the officials know that as you're preparing, or not preparing, but as you're dealing with the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever it's called, also at the same time be cognizant of the mental health issues, drug related issues, everything that's going to come out of this, by people being, so quarantined in their homes. So it's like you never win, right? You win on one side, you lose on the other, and it's a tough spot to be in. That's why I'm
yeah.
glad I'm not an official in this
No,
country.
we're just we're trying to do the best we can with what we have and give
Yep,
recommendations to people. If they want to follow it, fine. It's all about risk mitigation. It's all about trying to make sure you're safe, your family, your
yep,
business, and you know, go to a specialist, like you said, that can help you with that need, whether it's a doctor,
yep.
IT guy, or
Yeah, and then
psychologist.
also for a while now, I think now it's different, starting now. But you couldn't have any, elective surgeries. You couldn't go see your, let's say, your psychologist or whoever that person is, right? Psychiatrist, because it wasn't COVID related, right? So it was
Mm.
non-essential.
Yeah,
But that was, again, kind of a mistake because, we don't know what the consequences are to being quarantined like this. But I'm glad now that's being, kind of opened up again, and people can go and see their doctors and get some help, on the
hmm,
mental side. And I'll tell
yep,
you, even for people like myself, that's pretty, pretty stable, I would think mentally. My kids might argue that with me, but
yeah,
I've been kind of taking it pretty well. I do some things during the day, to make sure that I don't stay, or go like crazy in here in my house. But I can see where people that are not in this environment, maybe they lost their job and they can't pay their rent, pay their car. So now they're going, and yeah, so the government helps, but only to a degree. There's still a lot of things to pay, and that worry, how do I help my family? How do I put food on my table? So that leads to a lot of stress, and
hmm,
and if they're mentally strong and the family is, maybe they have no family. So
yeah,
it's a rough thing, and
yeah,
so I can't help too much on that end, but on the IT side, Glenn and I can definitely help you guys out.
yeah.
So
And
I'm
as far
gonna,
as barking dogs, Henry's got it all nailed there.
and then I have a little dog. It's just barely 9 pounds, and if he hears anything coming through our gate, he freaks out because he's like the alarm clock. In the morning he wakes us up at a certain time, and when anybody comes around, he's a watchdog. I've had big dogs before, German shepherds and bulldogs, and they weren't like this little guy. I mean,
Well, imagine if you had kids and all of that, and you're trying to work out of the house.
yeah.
That could be
Well,
stressful all onto itself.
listen, every time I do these videos, I'm always worried about, is my dog gonna bark too loud that it ruins the video.
Nah,
But I just let that go and say it is what it is, and this is what we're all living in. At
yeah,
least I don't have
well,
little kids running around. But
true. And this headset picks up everything, so I could hear him way in the
yeah,
background.
well, I
But
heard it too. So
yeah, oh, okay, good. So, any final words, parting words here? I don't
no,
know.
man.
If
My parting words is that like for me, I've been in this market for a long time. I really enjoy working with customers. I like working with my partners, my manufacturers. I like working with Glenn. You know,
eh,
I
thank
worked
you.
for his boss, so I was a former Land Infotech guy. Today, obviously, with IT Savvy, but I've been in this market for a long time. Some people know me, some don't, but I try to stay out there and stay involved in
Hmm.
the community, and lend my
Hmm.
expertise when it's appropriate. So
Yeah,
those are my words. Keep it real and be safe. And when you need something IT wise, just raise your hand. I'll
yeah,
I'll call.
yeah. And I'm part of Tech Lauderdale. I'm a board member there. And if
Right.
there's stuff that I can't do, if Henry can't do it, I'll find someone that we can either source through
Oh
or
yeah.
just connect them and say, here, help this poor customer out.
You know,
So,
you and I have always helped each other in that fashion.
mhm.
Hey, Glenn, I can't. No, I got the guy, and then vice versa. I'm looking for a guy. I got him for you.
I'm
So
looking for a guy. Where did I hear that one before? Right?
yeah, the guy, right, the IT guy.
Yeah.
Um, but this
Yeah.
is how we.
Yeah. I
This is
know a
how we.
guy. I know a
Yeah,
guy like that. Yeah.
this is how we
Yeah.
always network. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But that's good.
if we don't have the answer directly, we'll find the guy.
Yeah. All right. So I've run out of stuff, at least for this episode. So I
Yeah,
appreciate the opportunity.
same
If
here.
folks have questions, fire away. We could answer later.
You have questions and comments, and otherwise, thank you all for putting up with us as we just kind of had a open chat,
Hmm.
and I just to kind of get to know us and see how we are and who we are, and hopefully we don't scare you too much, and you come back and trust us.
Yeah. So the Two Old Tech Guy channel just got started. We appreciate it.
All right, Glenn. You take care, my friend. All right.
Everybody be safe. Thanks.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
That's it.